Today I am talking about Wyrd Sisters, Book 6 in Terry Pratchett's Discworld. And, what a brilliant book. Absolute one of my favourites. Still very early days, obviously, for the Discworld, but this is where we really start seeing the magic of Terry Pratchett's writing in the Discworld. And some of the new characters that come into play, like Nanny Og, an endearing character, comes into this one, and Magrat Garlic, who, despite being a bit of a wet hen, I love her. Love Nanny. Nanny is absolute favourite, and of course this is a Granny Weatherwax novel. Brilliant books. I love Terry Pratchett, I love Discworld, and I cannot recommend them enough. And this one spoofs a lot of different things, a little bit of Shakespeare, a little bit of Macbeth, and a little bit of fairy tales and all that. And the old king, has unfortunately fallen down the stairs with a knife in his back, and the Duke's taking over. So Magrat's trying to organise a coven and get the witches, a little bit organised, even though organising witches is a bit like rounding up cats. But yeah, so she's trying to do a coven, and they stumble upon the baby as it's being whisked away. And that should be good enough for a story, but no, the Duke, pursuing the baby and things like that, and so they help him out and get him safe to a theatre company and sort of go about their business. But the new Duke and his evil wife, who have taken over, not satisfied with that. They want more, and that's absolutely brilliant story. Like every one of my book reviews, I want to tell you things, I don't want to overtell you things, But this one is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And most people get their power and control for different reasons, but the sheer having of it, just to say that I am, as opposed to wanting to actually do something with it, that's sort of the themes in this one. And the Duke is pretty much, he's manipulated by his wife into doing this, but he doesn't want to do anything, and suddenly he's burning a lot of villages, beheading a lot of people. Anybody that questions him, anyone that doesn't agree with him, he's trying to eliminate. And that's of course where he comes up against the witches, who would have just let most things just happen. They don't meddle, they just stick to what they do. But that wasn't good enough for the Duke, new king, and the Queen. So they're going to take action. And despite herself, with the Granny wants to stay out of it, but you can't push Granny Weatherwax too far. What we love. But yeah, and the Fool comes into this, and if you've read the books, you know what I'm not telling people. And if you haven't read the books, he's going to be a big player. And I love the way this talks about rewriting history and how we manipulate things. And as human beings, you've really got to understand there's so many things that we've been told, that have been lied to us, that have been changed to suit basically European Western agenda, and and by extension now American agenda and stuff like that. And our world is so influenced by these mistruths, and how they, the society's manipulated the narrative and that. And that's what this book points out with the Fool. Despite being a fool, is actually very, very intelligent. He didn't want to be a fool. His father was a fool, his grandfather was a fool, so he had to become a fool. And but he's actually very intelligent, and ends up becoming more of an advisor to the Duke on how to manipulate things. And that's sort of the underlying theme of this one, and you like I said, in our whole history of the world as we understand it, is most of it's a lie. You know, the inferiority, how Europeans and that encapsulated, enslaved the blacks because we were told this lie that they were these primitive savage animals, things like that. You know, there's so much manipulation, and it's so easy to manipulate. And as we become more and more techno advanced and so much information out there, it really becomes key to understand the underlying of these truths. And you know, world politics right now is crazy, and it's at a crucial time for us. And books like this sort of shed light on this way of thinking and changing your thoughts and updating your vision and trying to, you know, re-examine things. And I think we need to do that more and more as humans. And I think Terry Pratchett knew that. And subtly, you know, he puts a lot of these ideas, you know, and that's why you should read. You should always read it, you know. It's different than just doom scrolling information. Reading and actually comprehending new ideas is so vital. Even in fiction, we can always learn from fiction. People, you know, dismiss it. Oh, it's just fiction, but yeah, that's such a small way to view the world. Is it's just fiction. No, fiction is key, and people, despite the quirky weirdness, his magical creatures and his oddbots and his puns, and crazy jokes that I absolutely love about Terry Pratchett. He's got so much wisdom in these books, and Weird Sisters is definitely one. You know, that's brilliant, and in a non-preachy way, and that's what the great writers can do. They can teach you things without sitting there and say, well, this is this, and this you should do this. You know, they subtly weave it through, and if you explore your mind and open your ideas to new thoughts, you're gonna learn. You're always gonna learn, and I think that's so vital for everyone to do. Terry Pratchett does that, and that's a massive rant, you know. But that's what Terry Pratchett does, and you know, as we explore these books that I read years ago and have re-listened to the new audiobook versions, you know, I loved them for that concept mixed in all that craziness and all the weird funniness is genuine ideas and thoughts we should listen to. Watching Granny deal with her stuff and take her revenge, and you know, Granny's powerful. Witches don't really have a leader, and you know, but Granny is the unofficial leader that they don't have. And watching her sort of come into how powerful and that she is, you know, this is a second outing. You know, and we're gonna do, as we go through them, we're gonna find out a lot more what she's capable of. But she could have been, well, she is the best. She could go down another path like Black Alice, who you know, was a bit of a cackler and ended up getting shoved in a cauldron by some kids. You know, because he's always picking on fairy tales and folklore and stuff like that, and that's what I love about him. This spoofs on so many different things. Brilliant book. I'd love to see, I know a few have been made into movies and cartoons and things like that. You'd love to see real, dedicated, you know, productions of the Discworld novels, and that would be so cool. And yeah, definitely a fantastic book. And like I said, even though there's the messaging in it, it's not done in a preachy or this is how it is and this is what it should be kind of way. It's subtle and it's delicately weaved through, and it's fantastic, and laughs. There's so many laughs in Terry Pratchett's books. Absolutely love him. Of course, King Varant's the ghost. Dealing with him and how he's getting around, and I even forgot to mention the ghost. He's sort of haunting the castle, and then he haunts Nanny Ogg's aprons because he managed to get a bit of stone, the castle stone, and to follow her out and stuff, and just the Nanny Ogg is by far, you know, an old baggage as Nanny calls it, as Granny calls her, but yeah, Nanny Ogg. There's where witches seem to be solitary and a bit alone and thing, but no, Nanny is the matriarch of her clan. Bullies in a bunch of daughters and daughters-in-law to do everything for her, and yeah, many husbands and many lovers, and fantastic. Like, she's one of my favorite characters. Granny, of course, is possibly my favorite ever character. You know, that no nonsense approach, absolutely brilliant. Love Terry Pratchett, love Discworld. This one, Wyrd Sisters, book 6 is a fantastic book. If you haven't jumped on board, and if you have already read them, try out the audiobooks of the new. There's some fantastic readers doing the new audiobooks. Absolutely brilliant. Highly recommend it. Can't recommend Terry Pratchett enough. Wyrd Sisters book 6 of the Discworld. Happy reading. Subscribe and follow for more.